Product provided by Nintendo, specifically Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I thought I was gonna be calm, I thought I was gonna be cool, I thought I was gonna be collected. However, I can't be any of those things right now because Xenoblade Chronicles X might be coming to PC. No, I'm not actually joking, it's on the Microsoft webpage. Okay, well, kind of, we need to talk about it. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and there are layers to this brain rot. So, what's going on? To my understanding, Microsoft recently put out a new feature for PC gaming specifically called Microsoft Edge Game Assist. The feature itself is nothing to particularly write home about, and is largely for people who only use one monitor. You hit the Windows key and the G button, and you are able to open up a web browser to look up guides or videos, and this overlay allows you to have those things open while you are still playing the game. So if you need to peruse a guide while doing something, this feature is meant to accommodate that. Now, if you have a second monitor, you would probably never use something like this, but if you only have one monitor, I can imagine this being a useful feature. However, certain games have the moniker of being labeled Enhanced Games for Microsoft Edge Game Assist. And let's just read the webpage for this, shall we? Why not go right to the source? PC gamers frequently look up tips, guides, and other help while they play. For a selection of popular PC games, remember that, Microsoft Edge Game Assist makes this easier than ever by highlighting helpful resources whenever you open a new tab. Many popular PC games are already enhanced for Game Assist, with more on the way. Here are some of the games that are enhanced with tips and guides. And then you get a whole host of games here, like Baldur's Gate 3, Clay Obscure Expedition 33, Cyberpunk 2077, Dragon Age the Crap God, Metaphor ReFantazio, Monster Hunter, Path of Exile, StarCraft, World of Warcraft, and at the very bottom of the list, hello Xenoblade Chronicles X, why are you here? Now this is pretty crazy because it's just a bunch of games on PC and then randomly Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, it's really strange that Xenoblade is just kind of here because one, Xenoblade Chronicles X is a Wii U game, because bear in mind, it doesn't say Definitive Edition, though I have seen screenshots, though I cannot verify their veracity, that the webpage used to say Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, but was updated a couple of times, and now it just says Xenoblade Chronicles X. All the times that I have seen it over the past day or so, it has been labeled Xenoblade Chronicles X. And I've taken my time with this, I've waited about a day, and this webpage still says Xenoblade Chronicles X here. So you would imagine if it was an error, that it would have probably been updated by now. Maybe because it's the weekend it hasn't, maybe no one's bothered to check, maybe someone at Microsoft really wants to screw with me specifically, considering I'm a PC gamer where my favorite IP is Xenoblade. Who knows? This is not a straight up confirmation that Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming to PC. That is not what this is. However, I think it's worth talking about because I don't think, especially because of this, I don't think the possibility that Xenoblade Chronicles X comes to PC is 0%. One, it's really weird that it's not just listed as Definitive Edition, or are we just doing the Wii U version for some reason? Kind of weird, but okay. But let's briefly go over the reasons why this could probably just be a debate and not the real deal, and then later on I'll just absolutely huff down some copium, and I'll talk about why it could be a real thing.
New LA is our beautiful lie to ourselves.
Okay, well, to start off, Nintendo, right? Like, if we imagine Nintendo and PC gaming as, like, ecosystems, one would be on the equator and the other would be on one of the poles. Essentially, they're polar opposites. There's not much in the way of overlap. There is some to some degree, but largely speaking, they appeal to different demographics. Nintendo largely appealing to families and more casual gamers who may just want and prioritize a cheaper upfront experience, and the hybridization of the Switch's console can be really appealing to those demographics, whereas PC gaming, for the most part, can also appeal to a casual audience, but less so in a family style. Nintendo also is not particularly known for being a multi-platform publisher/developer. They have put some games on mobile before. However, we don't really see Mario on the PlayStation now, do we? Nor do we see Zelda in, like, the new Halo game if we had one, though that would be hype. But the point being, Nintendo's not really known for going outside of their own ecosystem. They kind of do their own thing and operate with their own community, with their own fan base, with their own core vice grip on their install base. In a lot of ways, they're kind of similar to the Apple of gaming. And also, Nintendo has a new console generation coming out in like a week. Less than at this point, at least in terms of when this video's being recorded. Why would Nintendo choose now, or at least some point in the near future, to dip their toes into PC gaming? It, based on historical precedents, just doesn't make much sense, and that is extremely strong logic. And if you were to ask me the odds, I would say the odds are greater that this is not going to happen, and it was just some kind of clerical error on Microsoft's part as to why Xenoblade Chronicles X was here. It just doesn't follow the behavioral patterns of Nintendo up to this point. Now, well, what about the website? Well, it could just be a Microsoft screw-up. I mean, let's be fair here, it's Microsoft. Maybe they utilized AI when writing the article, I don't know. Maybe whoever wrote this article was 15 coffees in on a bad day or something, and just kinda winged the final part of it, who knows? There could be any excuse, any number of reasons as to how an error occurred that led to Xenoblade Chronicles X being added to the website here. And again, it's the weekend, so like maybe that's why it hasn't been updated to be fixed, though you would imagine if you're Microsoft, making sure one of your rivals' main games isn't being advertised with your new feature would be rather important, because remember, Microsoft owns Xbox. Could also be the case that the article just wasn't deemed to be important enough to ever revisit, and the people who wrote it just haven't been made aware that Xenoblade Chronicles X is here for some reason. Again, there's any number of reasons here. Okay, we actually have an update on this. I was actually editing this video when a member of my community, Zenado22, messaged me that Microsoft customer service said it was an error, and they sent me screenshots of their conversation with Microsoft customer service. However, it's a little bit fishy, so I want to go over it quickly here. Big shoutouts to Zenado22 for the screenshots, by the way. I'm going to leave a link to their YouTube and Twitter in the description down below. So they say, I was looking at an Xbox list earlier and saw Xenoblade Chronicles X listed as a game supported on Xbox, but I cannot find that game. Can you tell me where to find it? Then you got this dude called Joshua F, who replies saying, good day, this is Joshua F. and a fellow Xbox gamer. Reading this, that was my initial indicator that this sounded like AI because it didn't sound natural to me. I will surely do my best to resolve your issue today. It looks like Xenoblade Chronicles X is not available on Xbox. The original version of the game is exclusively on **Wii U***, while the Definitive Edition is coming to Nintendo Switch on March 20th, 2025. This is so AI coded, it's insane to me. Even as someone who is not well versed in AI chatbots, this sounds like AI to me, and just the way they type does not feel natural at all, especially with the asterisks. The series has historically remained a Nintendo exclusive, meaning it won't be available on Xbox or other platforms. There was a recent listing error on a Microsoft webpage that mistakenly included Xenoblade Chronicles X as a supported game, but the game itself is not actually available on Xbox or PC. If you're looking to play it, you'll need a Wii U, or the original, or a Nintendo Switch for the upcoming Definitive Edition. Again, grammatical errors abound. Hope that clears things up. So then, Zenado replied, so does the listing mean that it might come eventually, or was it simply a mistake? Then Joshua F. replied, it looks like the listing was just a mistake, rather than a hint at an upcoming release. Xenoblade Chronicles X, Definitive Edition, appeared on a Microsoft Edge Game Assist webpage, which lists PC games that support Microsoft's new in-browser gaming feature. However, the game is not actually available on PC or Xbox, and there's been no official announcement from Nintendo or Microsoft about a port. Zenado replies, I see. Thank you for clarifying. Will this list be updated to be fixed soon? Many of my friends have seen this and all got excited, but were confused when they could not find the game, so I feel like removing that would prevent it from happening to more people. Joshua F. replies, you're absolutely right. Giant line. Removing the listing would prevent more confusion! Exclamation point. As of now, Microsoft has not officially addressed the mistake, and Xenoblade Chronicles X is still listed on the Microsoft Edge Game Assist webpage. Many fans have pointed out the error, given how quickly companies usually correct listing errors. It's likely that Microsoft will update the page soon, but there's no official confirmation yet. If your friends are still wondering, you can let them know that Xenoblade Chronicles X remains a Nintendo exclusive and is not coming to Xbox or PC. Hopefully, Microsoft will fix the listing soon to avoid further. Then Zenado replies, thank you very much, you've been very helpful. I will let them know where to find the game and I will let other people know what happened if they have the same question I did. Thank you for your time. Joshua F. replies, nah, don't mention it, mate. I genuinely appreciate your time here, and as your fellow gamer, I am glad I was able to share all my experience and options. I always do too. I wish you all the best. Hope you are safe always. Zenado even agreed with me that it sounded very AI coded, and while yes, they did technically say it was just an error, that depends upon the information, assuming this is AI, that the AI would have. So again, I'm erring on the side that this is just an error. However, a chatbot that is likely just reading the actual web page and then using strong language to sound authoritative on the subject, I wouldn't say is particularly convincing for me. But having said all that, let's get back to the video. And if I wanted to be pessimistic, I would just end the video there, say that it's not going to happen, don't get your hopes up, and move on about my freaking day. Content in knowing that this website possible error at least got me a good clickbaity title. However, I have to go with my heart here, because I don't think the possibility is zero. I just said that it's more likely than not that this is just an issue, an error, that Xenoblade is not actually coming to PC. But it's not a 0% chance. And now, let's put on our tinfoil hats, let's sit back in our chairs, because I yapped about Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition for so long that we eventually actually got the thing. Let's see if we can do it again when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles X coming to PC. Okay, let's start off with one, assuming this isn't an error. If it isn't, why would they label Xenoblade Chronicles X in this section? A section of PC games. Well, it could be an error, just they weren't meant to release this information yet. That could be the case, and it was just some internal communication error at Microsoft. Or it could be a business strategy and a weird marketing strategy to try and get conversation about this going before they actually fully announce it, because remember, we're also on the cusp of two big gaming shows going on. Like, this isn't just the week of the Switch 2's release, we also have Summer Game Fest on June 6th, and then the Xbox Games Showcase 2025 on June 8th. Bear in mind, for Summer Game Fest, the Switch 2 is labeled to be there as a partner, and also, for the Xbox Game Showcase, that's Microsoft, cause it's Xbox. So there's like two possibilities here where if they were going to announce something big, now would be the time. So like the timing of all this is really weird. When we have two prime opportunities for Nintendo to announce something like this, and then on the Microsoft webpage, they have Xenoblade Chronicles X referenced, and just list it. But why would Nintendo do this? Well, I've actually talked about a very similar situation to all of this when it comes to PlayStation putting their games on PC and why they would be inclined to do so. And the logic I use for PlayStation largely will carry over to this Nintendo conversation as well. People don't realize just how big the PC market is. Nintendo is a company, they're a corporation. Their goal is to make money, and to make more money as quickly as possible. And while Nintendo's business strategy can be really bizarre at the best of times, where they either way ahead of the curve and they have their finger firmly on the pulse of the gaming industry, or they feel like they're 10 years back. And largely there's no in between. The Switch was way ahead of its time, and now we have all this bad PR about the pricing of games and such with the Switch 2 and the accessories for the thing. So it's really hard to predict what Nintendo's going to do, because we either get that Nintendo that has their fingers firmly on the pulse, or the one from 10 years ago. But generally speaking, they are still a corporation and they still like money. If they find an avenue to make more money, they will probably take themselves up on that offer. And being able to sell your games to even more people, especially when you probably believe that there won't be a significant loss in console sales, because again, as we talked about before, the PC gaming market and the Switch Nintendo market, there's a little bit of overlap, but not significantly so. So if Nintendo, behind the curtain, did their calculations, made some predictions, and said, you know what, there's some IP that we have that aren't as popular as our other IP, like Mario or Zelda, for instance. But we believe we could make more money with these IP if we ported them to another platform like PC that we don't believe is in competition with us. We could do that and just open ourselves up to even more sales. Why don't we test that out? We saw PlayStation do that a while ago, and now they like porting a lot of their games, at least after some time has passed while they're exclusive to the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation, they'll port them to PC to try and get some extra sales, and try to carve out a little name for themselves in the PC side of things, to varying degrees of success. Bear in mind, Nintendo has done borderline more extreme things before. They have made games for other platforms, it's just we don't think about it that much because it's mobile. But the mobile scene is massive. It's huge. Nintendo was looking at that and almost certainly went, dude, we could be making so much money if we just had a few things there. Why aren't we? It's not like it's going to cut into our console sales. Why aren't we just taking advantage of this massive market? Why not do things like Super Mario Run? Why not do things like Mario Kart Tour? Why ignore potential money on the table? They're a business. They're not going to. A similar line of thinking, in my opinion, can be applied to PC, where if you have a series that is near and dear to my heart like Xenoblade Chronicles, though we can be objective and say it is a niche RPG, its most popular game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, at least to my understanding and knowledge, hasn't even crossed 3 million yet, or it has and Nintendo just hasn't said anything. Xenoblade isn't Breath of the Wild, it isn't Tears of the Kingdom, it isn't a 3D Mario game, it isn't one of these series that is known to sell millions upon millions upon millions of copies. I've talked about how Xenoblade could position itself in the future at least to become more popular, which I still think would behoove Monolith to at least attempt, but for a series like this, that if you are a die-hard Xenoblade fan, you probably would get a Nintendo console just to be able to play Xenoblade. That cannot be said for a ton of people. So the math Nintendo has probably done, again, assuming this is what's going to happen and that Xenoblade is coming to PC, I would imagine the math they have done is, we can put Xenoblade Chronicles, or at least one of those games, like X, we can just put that on PC, see how it does, and we don't think it's going to really affect our bottom line, but only potentially give us an avenue to make even more money, and to potentially grow this IP that is near and dear to one of the most important developers in all of Nintendo. Look at all the games that Monolith have worked on for Nintendo. It's insane. We can try to grow this franchise into something that has far more name recognition and respect across gaming and brings in a lot more sales and also captures a lot more eyes. And of all the properties that Nintendo owns, I think Xenoblade is one of the few best positioned to act as an experiment for Nintendo for the PC market. One, the game is great, and in my opinion, especially when it concerns Xenoblade Chronicles X, it's one of the best examples of an open world we have ever seen. It's also a rather unique one because we don't get too many sci-fi open world games from massive AAA developers and publishers. That just doesn't really happen all that much. We're going to ignore Starfield. Just pretend that didn't happen. But when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles X, it has that unique factor. It's a style of game that can do really well on PC, and also has a gameplay loop that translates translates to mouse and keyboard seamlessly. Like, you just bind your Alt buttons to the numbered keys in your keyboard, and that works perfectly, dude. Like, straight up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Let people even rebind those keys if they want to. It works so well. It's like, I've talked about for ages how Xenoblade Chronicles feels like it was designed off of the backs of MMORPGs, which are predominantly on PC. Because of mouse and keyboard, Xenoblade Chronicles has always felt the most PC game of all of Nintendo's catalog to me. It's like, the more you think on it, the more little loose, albeit, but threads nonetheless exist. And they just start hanging there, dangling. And like a little kitten, you stare up at it, going, I really want to pull on that and see what happens. And I'm hoping Nintendo does that, because I have a really powerful PC. Give me the option to crank up the visuals and the frame rate on Xenoblade. Any of them, but especially X. Imagine. And also, if it's Nintendo's desire, alongside Monolith's, to grow Xenoblade as an IP, and to use X to do so, at least until we get Xenoblade Chronicles 4, or whatever they end up calling the thing. If they want to experiment with the PC platform to see how it works, how it functions, and how much money they could probably make by porting a game that probably wouldn't affect how many consoles they actually end up shipping, Xenoblade is a great contender for that, especially for an IP that I would believe Nintendo wants to grow and to blossom, because so many eyes would go and fixate on Xenoblade because it would be like, for a lot of people, it just kind of is, the first main game Nintendo would actively port to PC. Ignore Bat and Kaitos. Like, the amount that Xenoblade Chronicles overall would get signal boosted just by the word of mouth of people going, you won't believe Nintendo just done this. Nintendo coming to PC, PogChamp? And it would put more eyes on Xenoblade, and they could leverage their popularity as Nintendo to uplift this IP by doing so. Now, I realistically don't know how well X would do on PC. I love the game to death. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is a top 3 game all time for me. I love the game so much. The gameplay, not just for X, but for Xenoblade overall, is extremely polarizing and off-putting to a lot of people. And I could see a lot of people come into Xenoblade go, ew, what is this, when it comes to the gameplay, and just dip. But like I said before, the gameplay of X, in my opinion, would work better on PC because of mouse and keyboard. And we know it can already work in controller because, well, it's on the Switch and the Wii U, but translating that gameplay over to mouse and keyboard could be extremely seamless. And in my opinion, what they could and should do, just do a balance update to rein in some of the balance issues we have seen with Definitive Edition on the Switch. And here's the other kicker. In an era of PC games where every big title that is seemingly coming out, besides Stellar Blade, funnily enough, seemingly is plagued with issues on PC, with bad performance. Hi, Unreal Engine 5. Xenoblade works on really weak hardware with the Switch. If you could put out a banger game that is as gorgeous and pretty as Xenoblade, and you give it enough options to where it can run and work well on really low-end hardware, I am willing to bet that would turn a lot of eyes by itself. Because most people that play on PC are not rocking really high-end hardware. They're not rocking a 5090 or whatever. They're rocking more affordable hardware. So if Nintendo can come in swinging with Xenoblade Chronicles X, a game whose gameplay works better on PC in my opinion, a game that you can easily just turn the graphics up, to my knowledge and understanding, make it run better frame rate wise as well. Remember that whole thing about someone finding like a 60 FPS setting for Definitive Edition? Heck, even go up to 144 on PC. Why not? And just see what happens. If it bombs, you never have to do it again. It's a game that is already on the Switch, that was also already on the Wii U. If they don't think the test is a success, they never have to do it again. But if it does well, then that opens the door and gives them data to work with. what, through my eyes, is low risk, high reward. Because if it bombs, it's not like you designed an entire new game. I would hope you just had to make a port. And if it does well, you make a bunch of money. There you go. That's the goal of any business at the end of the day. And if this game does come to PC and is priced reasonably well, especially in an era of games where the value proposition is highly suspect for a lot of people, with 70 and soon to be 80, hi Nintendo, hi Xbox. But if you put Xenoblade Chronicles X on PC, even at the price point that it was originally sold on the Switch at 60, or heck, could even make an argument go down to 50, be right in line with like Clay Obscure Expedition 33 and Oblivion Remastered. I could see it doing decently well for itself. I could see that happening. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. And look, we could also talk about modding, but like, it's Nintendo. We can get into that at another time. Let's just say I would urge Nintendo to not be against modding. If you are coming to PC with this, let people make their own PR snowball of hype for this game. Let people make their own ways to talk about this game and to keep people talking about it. Why not? You have to understand the market. It'll be interesting to see. Chances are nothing happens from this. In a few weeks, we just kind of forget about it and we move on about a day, or maybe we get to the Game Awards, or maybe the Xbox Game Showcase, or down the line we get to a Nintendo Direct, and all of a sudden we see another trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles X, and we wonder to ourselves, is it DLC? What are they doing here? And they announce, you know what? It's coming to PC. And then everything changes, and the door is thrown wide open for the future of Xenoblade Chronicles. We'll find out, because the future awaits. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure of making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day. Leave a comment down below with, would you like to see Xenoblade Chronicles come to PC? Look, my thoughts about exclusivity on the topic of gaming are out there. I've talked about it quite a bit on this channel. I do not like exclusivity. Sometimes it is a necessary evil, but I view it to be an evil nonetheless. I do not take pride in the ability to play a game when someone else can't. It's stupid in my opinion, and weirdly anti-consumer. But you could also argue Xenoblade wouldn't exist without exclusivity to begin with, because Nintendo picked them up, at them being Monolith. So at some points, it is a necessary evil for the existence of some games, but when possible, I will always value and argue for multi-platform releases, because I do not take pride in being able to play a game because of my choice to purchase or to utilize a certain plastic box compared to someone else. I view that to be largely a childish mindset. And with that, I'll call the video day after day. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody, until we meet again.